The bombs can be heard in the background even as the aid workers arrive.
Hi, this is Aziz from Humanity First. I'm here in Rafah, in Gaza.
1 million people are now crammed into the tiny city of Rafah in the most southern part of Gaza, and the sound of Israeli bombardment and gunfire reverberate in the atmosphere. Dr. Aziz Hafiz led a small team of aid workers into Gaza to assess the situation.
Humanity First, as an international disaster response NGO, like all other NGOs, has been trying very, very hard to gain access into Gaza. For us, the priority was to see our own staff members in Gaza, to assess their welfare and also assess the needs on the ground.
Humanity First is one of the very first British NGOs permitted to enter Gaza since the war began more than 100 days ago. As the convoy travelled across the Rafah crossing and into Gaza, their rare entry into the besieged strip revealed to them the horrors of a catastrophic humanitarian catastrophe.
We all hear on the news the challenges within Gaza, but seeing is believing. Rafah city is full of IDPs, internally displaced people. More than nearly 90% of the population of Gaza is displaced to the south. We're seeing families where there are no toilets and they have to pass the call of nature in plastic bags for their own dignity. Families living out in the open. It's undescribable, sadly, undescribable.
The tragedy unfolding in Gaza is even a shock to aid workers like Usman Deen and Yusuf Aftab, who have responded to other humanitarian disasters in the past, but nothing like this.
When we arrived there, it was fairly late. The smell was extremely strong. As soon as you cross the border, it smells of sewage, blood. It's difficult to actually in words describe the smell, but it's an extremely strong smell. The lights are out, there's no electricity there, so it's difficult to find your way around. People had, the suffering that they had gone through. People have left their homes that they were living in all their life in.
But nowhere is safe. There's a humanitarian zone, a small humanitarian zone that you have to operate, but outside that humanitarian zone, which if I say it's about 2 kilometers in radius, beyond that it's active fighting. You're constantly hearing shelling, and my heart goes out to the people of Palestine.
Israeli authorities are blocking access for aid trucks into Gaza as Human Rights Watch accuses it of using starvation as a weapon of war, and the queues of aid trucks waiting to get in goes on and on. Food is scarce here, and when it does arrive, it's sold on the black market for 100 times its value. Children queue for hours just to get water. No water, no sanitation, little food, and little hope.
Sanitation issues, hygiene issues, risks to their health. If the bombs aren't going to kill you or somebody's not going to shoot you, certainly the disease is going to get you, and that becomes very, very difficult. Respiratory conditions, skin conditions, not being able to have water to drink there. They have to stand for hours and hours, and that's including our Humanity First staff as well.
There is no respite for the thousands of Palestinians forced to flee their homes. The cold has long set in, disease and hunger are becoming widespread. Hospitals in Gaza are almost non-functioning, with patients abandoned due to a lack of doctors and supplies.
We spoke to a doctor working at the Al-Shifa hospital who had evacuated, and she described how she had to be evacuated from the hospital, coming out with her hands in the air as she had to leave her patients. Another neurologist we spoke to, who was in one of the IDP camps, he described the harrowing time, how he was seeing blood everywhere and unable to help the patients.
One of the doctors from Al-Shifa hospital describes the scene there.
When Israel obligate us to leave at Shifa hospital, we leave many patients. We don't know anything now about him. I see many cases, just kids, 12, 11, 15, all become quadriplegic. I lost many my friends, my colleagues. Now I don't know if they are killed or in the prison.
The three-man team from Humanity First conclude their 3-day assessment in Gaza, but the impact of what they saw doesn't leave them.
There's a part of you that wants to go back, and a part of you wants to stay. The team didn't sleep whatsoever when we were in Gaza. And that was partly because, you know, just seeing the atrocities of what people were actually suffering, but also just the noise. You know, it's quite traumatic. Even when you come back, you're remembering. You have the noise still buzzing in your mind.
Humanity First has many workers on the ground striving to help those in need, but with aid trucks blocked, supplies non-existent, and a war with no end in sight, there's only so much that they're able to do. Atif Rashid, MTA News.